What is the third eye? What is it for? What hidden or supernatural abilities are awakened when you activate it? Today, you will get the answer to all these questions. After 7 years exploring the supernatural abilities of human beings, such as intuition or the ability to heal with energy, and documenting thousands of real healing cases in all areas of health, I can affirm that I know exactly the path for you to achieve it too. So let's begin. The third eye is composed of 5 energy centers that are connected to the pineal gland. And not just to the pineal gland, but also to the brain and the rest of the nervous system. The thing is, we often think the third eye is just the Ajna chakra, a center located right here between the eyebrows. And while it is true that this energy center is involved, it is not the only one. There are 4 other centers that are very important for activating the third eye, and therefore, the pineal gland. Each of these centers you see here on screen serves a function, and as they are cleared, healed, and activated, what happens is that our ability to influence the energetic plane, and therefore to manifest and heal through energy, is progressively amplified. Because often it seems like the pineal gland or the third eye is either active or not, but the reality is that it activates progressively. It is not active or inactive. It is not like saying, I am strong or I am not strong. Well, to be strong, you have to go to the gym, you have to train, and there comes a point, right, where the muscles grow. Well, with the pineal gland and the third eye, it works exactly the same way. Actually, if someone went from having an inactive pineal gland or third eye, and suddenly, in a single day, it became fully super activated forever at maximum capacity, that person would probably, and I am not joking, pass away because their body could not sustain the energy flow. Because in the end, as you know, our pineal gland is a very sensitive organ. But our brain and our nervous system are also extremely sensitive. And although the pineal gland is that center, right, that we all know and understand is so important for activating our intuition, our ability to heal with energy, and other supernatural abilities, the reality is that it is something that must be done progressively. As I was telling you, it is like if someone goes to the gym and on the first day says, I'm going to lift weights, and grabs a 100 kilo weight. If they push themselves too hard, in the end, they will tear a muscle, right? Well then, exactly the same thing would happen with the third eye and the pineal gland. Some of the abilities that are developed by activating these centers are the capacity for attention, intention, and visualization. Notice that although this does not seem like a supernatural ability, ask yourself how many people around you, or even yourself, have a very high capacity for attention and intention, or a very high capacity for visualization. Notice that most human beings only have an attention span of 5 seconds, right? They get distracted very easily, and more so. So, although we are not talking about an apparently supernatural ability, it is an ability that I would say is the first one you must develop to progressively develop all the others. As I tell you, the Ajna chakra, which is here between the eyebrows, is fundamental for the development of all this. But you also have to understand that it is the first step to later develop other faculties, such as clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is the ability to see energy. It is the ability to perceive the energy field, for example, of another person, or to be with someone, and be able to see images of their life. The ability to decipher what another person has in their mind, and at very high levels, even telepathy. Because a healer, in the end, as they develop their psychic abilities, not only increases their capacity to manifest or heal with energy, but also their perceptions. As I was telling you, being able to see the energy field, being able to perceive the other person's memories, perceive what that person has in their mind, what traumas they are hiding, for example, right? That in the healing process can really be very useful. Obviously, all these faculties or abilities make sense as long as we use them to help other people. Developing this just for the sake of it, or because I think I am the best, or because I have a very large spiritual ego, makes absolutely no sense, right? In the end, all of this is useful when we put it at our service or at the service of others. The crown chakra, which as the name suggests is here at the crown, helps us develop intuition and spiritual connection, since above the crown chakra we have an energy center called the soul star, which is ultimately our soul, what you already know to be your soul. And it helps us to obtain spiritual energy and increase our intuition. And intuition, in the end, is the ability to have a powerful inner guide, to know exactly what we must do at every moment without having to think, to be able to perceive what is happening in our environment, and be able to react with wisdom to all the things that happen to us, both internally and externally. And finally, there are two energy centers located at the back of the head, which are the rear head chakra and the outer major chakra. And these centers are basically dedicated to boosting and amplifying the rest of the energy centers. It is as if you had, let us say, a speaker where you can turn the volume up or down, but it needs energy to sustain it. Well, that is exactly what these energy centers do to a great extent, being able to sustain all the energetic potential that the process of activating the third eye and the pineal gland entails. Let's continue. So, something I want to share with you, and that is really very important, is that you understand that to heal with energy, it is not necessary to activate the third eye. It actually works the other way around. Notice I told you, when you go to the gym, you go progressively and you get stronger each time, right? No, you don't start on the first day lifting the maximum weight you can handle. It is progressive and you keep getting stronger and able to hold more weight. When we talk about activating the third eye, the pineal gland, it is not, I activate my third eye and my pineal gland and then I can heal with energy. In reality, one consciously and with guidance develops the ability to heal with energy, and that is where you develop all these faculties, right? So, when we talk about the fact that activating the third eye requires a prior preparation process, you have to understand that I don't say it just to say it, but that really, if a progressive and healthy process is not followed, there could be side effects. As I tell you, in the end, when we activate our third eye, the energetic potential of our energy field is amplified tremendously. And what does that do? Well, it means many parts of our body, like the nervous system, the brain, and the pineal gland, receive much more energy than usual, carrying out their processes in a way they weren't used to. And that obviously, if done step by step, is something the body doesn't even notice, or it does notice, of course, but it can handle it perfectly. On the other hand, if we were to force an activation process, that could end up having serious side effects, not just physically, but you also have to understand that ultimately, when you amplify your ability to influence the energy plane, just think, your thoughts, your emotions are energy. If you suddenly amplify your energetic capacity, but you have many imbalances, many fears, many traumas, or unresolved conflicts, that would also be amplified. Imagine you have many bad thoughts about another person. Ultimately, when we have bad thoughts, those bad thoughts exist on the energetic plane. And when you direct the bad thought toward another person, you are actually sending the energy to them. So, a person who has not truly achieved internal balance and activates their third eye unintentionally would end up unconsciously performing energetic practices that could harm others, but also themselves. In the end, when we visualize future scenarios through our minds, right? There are people who do that, but to see a horrible future, right? Like they are very afraid of what might happen in the future. If a person has an active third eye and has all those kinds of thoughts, what will really happen is that they will have a greater tendency for all those fears they have to manifest. And that is why it is very important, before activating the third eye with certain practices and paths that exist, to go through a purification process of our energy field. In any case, today we are going to do a very gentle practice so that you understand a little how to begin this path. Don't worry, because what we are going to do today will not be the definitive activation of your third eye, but rather a very gentle practice that activates those energy centers to a certain extent, but it does so, let's say, in a very gentle way, so that you won't have any psychedelic experience, nor will you freak out or anything like that. So, without further ado, let's move on to the practice. Before we begin, I invite you to find a quiet place where you can really focus 100% on what we are going to do. And as I say, even though I have shared this with you now, keep in mind that everything I am going to share is 100% safe for you. And now, let's begin. At this moment, I invite you to close your eyes, plant your feet firmly on the ground, and begin to breathe consciously and coherently, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Little by little, I invite you to bring your awareness throughout your entire body with much love. That is, first, we are going to bring our awareness to the soles of our feet. We move it up through our calves, our knees, and I invite you, as you extend your awareness through your body, to look at your body with great love, to feel your body with great love, as if you were looking at someone you love very much. I invite you to keep moving your awareness up to your hips, the glutes, the pelvis. I invite you to keep moving up through your belly, your back, your waist. Until you reach your chest and the upper back, up to the cervical spine. I invite you to continue extending your awareness now through your shoulders, down your arms to your hands. And finally, raise your awareness through your neck, and around your entire head. Now at this moment, we are going to feel and we are going to bring our awareness to the center of our chest first. And we are going to feel or imagine a loving light in the center of our chest. You don't need to see it or visualize it. I really invite you, above all, to feel as if you had a very bright white light in the center of your chest radiating love. By doing this, we are activating our heart chakra to generate more balance and more peace on an emotional level. And that will accompany us for the next process we are going to perform, which is to gently activate the different energy centers that make up the third eye. So let's begin. At this moment, I invite you to visualize a bright white light between your eyebrows, not on your forehead, but between your eyebrows at the top point of your nose. And in the same way, I invite you, yes, to visualize a bright white light, to feel a bright white light, very loving and full of power, in the brow center. Keep breathing consciously while you visualize or feel that bright white light in your brow with much love. Little by little, I invite you to continue raising your consciousness now toward the center of your forehead. And we repeat the process. I invite you, while breathing consciously, to visualize or feel a bright white light in the center of your forehead. A light full of love and full of inner power. Very well, let us continue. Now let us bring our attention to our crown. And let us visualize, let us feel that bright white light, but at the highest point of our head, at our crown. Let's continue our journey, and now we will feel or visualize that bright white light at the back of our head, as if behind the center of our forehead. Feel how that white and loving light expands. And funny. Let us bring our attention to the occipital area, which is very close to the nape of the neck. And we will repeat the process, feeling and visualizing a white light in the occipital area. White and very loving. Now, finally, I invite you to connect with the 5 points we have been connecting to now, all 5 at once, to connect with that bright and loving light in those 5 points. And feel how that white light gently enters little by little toward the center of your head, toward the pineal gland. Is entering little by little towards the pineal gland. There you go. Little by little, I invite you to reconnect with the rest of your body. You may notice a greater state of clarity right now, perhaps a bit more energy in your head as well. So I invite you to return little by little, open your eyes, and so on. And take a few seconds to really integrate all these sensations. Above all, ground yourself well, right? Feel again, connect with your feet, your legs, before returning with your body so that too much energy doesn't polarize in your head. I invite you for the rest of the day or over the next few hours to also pay special attention to your feet, your legs, your torso, so that an excess of energy does not build up in your head. If you wish to continue learning energy therapy with me, I have left a link in the description of this video where you can schedule a completely free consultation with an expert from my team who will analyze your particular case and offer you a training plan adapted to your needs in case you want to learn to heal with energy, to heal yourself, help other people, or even your patients in case you are a therapist. That said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment sharing what you thought of the experience. Sending you a hug.